So that is one of my very favorite songs. Written by Peter Mayer. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. But as I thought about Thanksgiving, I've got a couple of things I want to get them down here. As I thought about Thanksgiving, I thought, what a great song, and it's perfect for what we're talking about today. Fairly recently, I went to visit Hill Country Water Gardens and Nursery. I can tell you've been there. I can tell you've been there, just by your reaction. If you haven't been there, go there. I could spend hours there just sitting there and watching and listening and breathing in the life that is there. Beautiful place just to spend a few hours. But I was there a few days, actually I've been there several times, but I was there a few days ago, and I would notice this family, a mother and father and two little boys. And I was just kind of listening, paying attention. They were at one of the koi ponds, and the little boys were looking in the koi pond. The dad was, trying to keep them from falling in and all of that. And one of the boys said, "I want to feed the fish." And so his dad said, "Well, they will let you do that, but you have to go and ask for the fish food." And so he walked him over to the counter where the woman was there, and he said, "Now you have to say, 'Please, may I have some fish food?'" And the little boy was like, "Oh, I can't do that." So finally, his father coaxed him into saying, "Please, may I have some fish food?" And he got some fish food. And so he started walking away, going to feed the fish. And his dad said, "Well, stop a minute. You need to say thank you. When somebody does something for you, when somebody gives you something, the polite response is to say thank you." And so the little boy went over and said, "Thank you." And so it was a reminder for me how early in life we're taught to say thank you, to say please and thank you, right? We're taught very early in our lives to say that. I remember when I was very young, I was taught to say, the blessing. "Thank you, God, for this good food that makes our bodies strong," or whatever that prayer was. Thank you. What is the other prayer that we said for blessing as a kid? "God is great, God is good. Let us thank Him for our food. By His hands we are fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread." How many of you remember that, right? So we were taught very early how to say thank you. And I think for some of us, it becomes rote. It becomes something that we just say. I know for me sometimes it just becomes something, well, I'm supposed to say thank you, so I'm going to say thank you. But I think what I want to encourage myself and encourage all of us to do is to really have an experience of gratefulness. Brother David Steindl-Rast, many of you may be familiar with him. He's a Benedictine monk. He is 99 years old now, I believe. And he has a monastery in Colorado, and he has an organization called grateful.org, and it's all about living grateful lives, offering practices that help us live grateful lives. Because gratefulness is a consciousness. Gratefulness is an experience. Gratefulness is a consciousness that we can cultivate, right? We can cultivate that consciousness. I'm going to share with you some of the things that Brother David says about gratefulness. He says that gratefulness, in a moment of gratefulness, you fully accept the whole of this given universe as you are fully one with the whole. Does that give us a different perspective of gratefulness? In a moment of gratefulness, you fully accept the whole of this given universe as you are fully one with the whole. So gratefulness is that experience of oneness, of knowing that we are one with each other, one with the universe, one with Source that is the source of all that we receive, right? And what he says about that is gratefulness is the experience, and then gratitude, he says, is thinking. Gratitude is thinking in tune with the cosmic intelligence that inspires us in grateful moments. That give you a little bit different perspective on what gratitude is? Gratitude is thinking. Gratitude is the feeling of gratefulness that then arises and inspires our thinking. And then thanksgiving or thankfulness is the expression of that. He says, there is no greater bond than the one gratefulness celebrates, the bond between giver and thanksgiver. When I read that and when I began to look at how Brother David talks about gratefulness, I thought, wow, I want to live that way. I want to invite gratefulness and allow that gratefulness, I love that idea, great fullness of spirit, great fullness of the awareness of unity and oneness with the Source. Great fullness and awareness of my unity and oneness with the giver. Yeah? And then gratitude is our thoughts that arise in that, and then we can express it more deeply than just saying thank you. Although that can be very deep expression if we're really having the experience. But what I want to invite us into today are some practices that can encourage that consciousness of gratefulness. And one of those is we talked about it, how we say our blessing when we give thanks or express thanks for the food we're about to receive. How many of us still practice that? You don't have to raise your hand. but when we notice, I brought a little example today. Not a little example, it's a pretty big example, but this bread. What do you see? When we break bread together, what do you see? What do you experience in the food that we're about to partake of? If we really invite that experience of gratefulness, recognizing our oneness, we can stop, pause for a moment, take a breath, shift our perspective from just this loaf of bread to all of the elements that are part of the bread. The earth and the water and the fire that bakes the bread and the air that helps the bread to rise. We can see the seeds that are planted in the earth, those who tended the seeds, those who harvested the wheat or whatever flour you make your bread out of. We can feel and sense and see our unity, our oneness with those who put the dough together and baked the bread and brought it to the store. I didn't bake this bread, in case you were wondering. I bought it at the store, but somebody had to bring it to the store. All of the labors. Buddhism teaches us that, is that we acknowledge all of the labors that brought this to my table. And when we can open ourselves up, pause from just saying, thank you, God, for this good food, we can stop and say, the great fullness. And my thoughts align to that great fullness. And then I can say, thank you, Source. As Source showed up, through the earth and through the fire and through the water and through the air and through the people and through the efforts and through all that brought this to my table. That's a different way, maybe, of blessing our food, that which we are about to partake of. That is giving thanks for. And we can extend that to just about anything, or really anything. The clothes we wear, the shoes we wear, everything. So I invite us into maybe exploring that a little bit as we go into the season that we call Thanksgiving. How are we really feeling gratefulness? And then I think about, well, how do I express gratitude or gratefulness to someone who does something for me? So it's grateful for and then grateful to. How do I have this grateful experience? And then how do I express that? I had a great example, and I asked Anaya if I could use her as an example, and she said yes. That a few weeks ago, I guess, I brought some herbal tea with me from this store that I like to go to in Denver. And I was talking to Anaya about it, and I brought her a sample of it, and she really enjoyed it. Nothing major, nothing big. And so when Jay was leaving to come here, I said, would you be willing to go by the store and buy some and bring some to Anaya, because she really enjoyed this tea. Nothing major. And so he did, and we gave her the tea, and then she didn't just say, thank you. You know Anaya, you know she wouldn't just say thank you. But she expressed how meaningful that gift was for her. And it was like somehow she said, and I'm not going to read her card, but she gave us this beautiful card that said, basically what I would say is, I've been seen. You saw me. You gave me something that was meaningful to me. And in some way, when I feel that I've been seen and you know me and what's important to me, I want to express that. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for warming my heart, because what you did all of that for me, even though it was just giving her a little bit of tea. So I want to encourage us to think about that as we share with each other. Remember, gratefulness is about the awareness of our unity, our oneness. Gratitude is that thoughts, and then how can I express that from my heart, not just from my head, not just from my thinking? How can I let you know that what you did, what you gave to me, touched me, inspired me, uplifted me in some way? Can you imagine how connecting that is? That giving and receiving, that flow of energy that happens heart to heart when we open ourselves up? So I would encourage us to try it, practice it. Sometimes I know for me it's challenging. And many of you have told me how much you appreciate me, and I think, well, thank you. Thank you. But what I really want to do is feel the gratefulness for that sharing. You're sharing something with me from your heart. And if I'm not receiving it, then that what you're expressing, the energy is not complete. So can we take it in? Really live that. And there's another teaching that many of us have heard about, and it's from writings of Paul, and he said, in everything give thanks, right? Not for everything, but in everything give thanks. That is probably the most challenging. when things are going in a way that we would prefer that they not, when we experience illness, we experience loss, we experience the grief of loss, whether that's loss of health, loss of a loved one, loss of a job, it's grief. How can I be thankful in grief? Big question. And the only answer I have for that is that many of you may be familiar with Walter Starkey and his writing. He's an author, and well, he's no longer on this plane either, but he wrote about this double thread, double thinking and double thread. And so, as I talked about a few weeks ago, can we honor our humanity? Can we truly honor the grief, whatever we're feeling in the moment? Recognize that is God, that is the divine, that is an experience that we are having in this human life space. And in the midst of that, can we hold also the possibility and the potential of the divine that is moving in us, through us, as us? I know it can be challenging. But our opportunity, really, when I think about being grateful in all things, can I know? Can I know? And maybe I can't know in the moment. Maybe I can't know it for myself in the moment. But that's why we have community. That's why we have prayer chaplains. That's why we have ministers. And you're all ministers. I want you to know that. You're all ministers of the heart when you're willing to just be with someone who is experiencing loss and grief. Because our opportunity in that experience is to hold that truth, to reflect back that truth, not to try to get somebody to be past their grief, but to just hold the truth. Know that life is expressing in the moment. In the midst of loss, in the midst of illness, there is wholeness. In the midst of war and conflict, there is peace. You with me on that? Can we hold that? Until somebody else can know it for themselves. If I'm feeling grief, I may not know it, and I may not want you to tell me anything about God. And you don't have to. You don't have to. If I'm experiencing grief, you as the presence can simply hold that and hold the energy of that for another. And know the truth. It's not your job, it's not my job to try to fix anyone. But can we be the presence of gratefulness, the awareness of the great fullness of source of life in the moment? Can we hold that? And can we be in that place of gratitude and thanksgiving? And I think that may be one of the most challenging things that we get to do for each other, for ourselves. But to be grateful in all things. That's a big ask, isn't it? And then lastly, what I want to say is that what came to me is the importance of having that grateful experience and being grateful as. Grateful as. Because I think so many times we discount ourselves. We discount and somehow judge ourselves. How many of you, I want you to raise your hand for this one. How many of you practice gratefulness for yourself every day? Almost every day. That's a great number. That's a great number, and I appreciate that. How can we experience that great fullness of source, of life itself, that is breathing us, that is beating our hearts, that is moving in and through and as each of us? And I think it's important to recognize, I love what Eric Butterworth says in some of his writings. Eric Butterworth, if you're not familiar, is a great was a Unity teacher, author. He says, you are the self-livingness of life itself. You are life's self-livingness. And when we can truly get that, when we just take a moment, take a breath, close your eyes if you are willing, and just breathe into that awareness. Breathe into your heart. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your breath. Are you beating your heart? Are you breathing yourself? As you center into the awareness of that life that is breathing you into being, that life that is beating your heart, every heartbeat is an impulse of that life. And as you center yourself in that awareness, invite the consciousness of great fullness, knowing you are life's self-livingness. As you breathe into that, what else could we ever experience except great fullness? And then as you feel that, as you experience that, allow that to rise up into your mind, up into your thinking brain, and be aware of the thoughts that are inspired in that experience of great fullness. I am that I am. I am the self-livingness of Source. I am created as the image, likeness of the divine, by whatever name or nature you know that to be. I am the image, likeness, the energy, the expression of Source. And then allow that thinking to inspire your own actions, your words, expressing gratefulness, gratitude for yourself, for Source. I am that. I am that. I am. And as you breathe into that experience, I invite you to once again remember these words of Brother David. In a moment of great fullness, you fully accept the whole of this given universe as you are fully one with the whole. And so as we move into this time of Thanksgiving, I invite us to move through these next few days cultivating this grateful consciousness as we give thanks for our food, as we express that thankfulness for other people in our lives, as we experience being thankful in everything, and as we have the great fullness of ourselves and life that is living us. Don't leave yourself out. Do something kind for yourself this week. Do something that nurtures your spirit. Maybe go to Hill Country Nursery and Water Gardens. Nurture yourself. Give thanks for yourself. And